I know you've heard about sexual abuse done on women, but sit yourself down and plead the blood of Jesus, because I'm about telling you about sexual abuse done on males. My name is Rafa Gottloff. My job is to stir up conversation so that we can move towards a positive direction. You're watching School of Life. It's a program where we share useful advice and we stir up crazy conversations so that people get talking about the serious issues of life. On today's edition, I'm talking about male sexual abuse or sexual abuse done on males. We'll be finding out why it happens, how it happens, why do males not report sexual abuse, and what is the way forward. And so the first thing I want to say about sexual abuse, whether it's with a male or a female, whether it's done on a male or a female, is the fact that this sexual abuse happens when, most of the times, when these children are young. So it happens on young children. A child doesn't have the vocabulary to be able to say this is sexual abuse. And by the way, what is sexual abuse? Sexual abuse is anything that is said or done, okay, to a child which is sexually intimate and it's without the child's consent. It's sexual activity basically which is not consented. Okay, there's no consent given. And when a child is young, a child doesn't even know that this thing that is happening to me is sexual abuse. They don't have the vocabulary, they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools. They're not trained to know that, okay, if somebody touches you in places like this, then you need to report or you need to talk about it. And sometimes they can feel that something is not really right, but they don't know what to call it. Because African parents don't talk about sex and don't talk about nothing to children, and don't, we need to get to this place where we can talk about things with children and tell them, okay, you be careful. If somebody does this, then you report. And all of this, we need to open up to children and bring them to this place where they can talk about issues. So back to sexual abuse done on boys. It happens at many places. Sometimes it happens with family members. It happens with external relatives. It happens with friends of the family and things like that. Children are abused all the time. Boys, male children, and they don't report. Why? I'll tell you why. They don't report because it affects their masculinity. Society has made it look like if a girl comes up and says, I've been sexually abused and I've been touched inappropriately and I've, all of these, it looks like it's normal. But if a boy comes up and says, I have been sexually abused and we look at him like, what is wrong with you? Could you not defend yourself? But mind you, most people are sexually abused as children. They're sexually abused as children. So you don't expect a child to defend themselves. You don't expect a child to know exactly what is happening. Okay? You don't expect a child, you are like, why didn't you report? You probably liked it because you didn't report. That's a trick. And sometimes even sexual abusers, they use this against children. Okay? You can touch a child inappropriately and they have an erection. Okay? And you say, you have an erection, you probably like it. And so that's why I have the right to do what I'm doing. Listen, you're touching the pubic regions of a child. A child is new to emotions, they can't control their emotions. And so if they have an erection, don't necessarily mean what you're doing is right. Okay? It doesn't validate what you're doing because you were not touching their hair. You were touching a part of their body that can have an erection. Okay? And so it doesn't validate what you're doing. Whether they had an erection or not, it was inappropriate. It was not consented. They didn't ask you to do that. Okay? And you did it in secret. So we need to be careful. And if you've been sexually abused as a guy, you don't need to feel shy about it. You don't need to feel like, well, I had an erection. What does this mean? Okay? And sometimes boys are sexually abused even by boys. We need to talk about this stuff. Okay? And you don't need to feel bad about it and feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. The abuser is always the person that has something wrong with them. And you're always the victim because it was not solicited sexual activity. It was done without your consent, and so it was an abuse. It was an abuse whether you had an ejaculation. It was an abuse whether you had an erection. It was an abuse. That's what it was. It was an abuse. The fact that you had an erection don't necessarily validate what they did. Doesn't make it right. So I think that these things need to be thrown on the table so that people can have a safe environment to talk about issues. Okay, because people with sexual abuse history, they have like all kinds of dysfunctions. They don't trust people, especially if the abuse came from family members or extended family members or people that are close to their family. They become suspicious of people. People move around with all kinds of emotional hurts. You don't know why that is the case. Okay, and they don't talk about it because society makes it look like you're not fully a man if you stand up now and say, I've been sexually abused by a man or even by a woman. Okay, because that's girls that are bigger girls abusing younger children that are males. They're like, oh, you should be grateful that you had sexual activity with a girl, but it was not solicited and I was not ready for it. Okay, so I think that it's an abuse and it should be denounced by society. I think that we should not allow these things to happen. So these are the reasons why boys don't talk about it. The first reason is that they don't even know that it's an abuse when it's happening, and it's only when they grow older and they're like, what just happened? What just happened? Sexual orientations are being changed and they're not very stable in their sexual life. They're asking themselves like, what is happening to me? It becomes an issue and it comes back. That's when they start talking about it, and people always walk up to them and say, why didn't you talk about it when it happened? Matter of fact, let me just say this: society is not accommodating. In fact, some people, most of the people, the things I just said up to this moment is an annoyance to them. Why? Because it's too honest. It's just too open. But we need to create an environment where people can come up and say, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, and look for like a support group. People that have been through the same things, and we can talk about it and talk about traumas and talk about all of that and find a way forward. Many boys go through all kinds of situations and they don't have nobody to talk to because society doesn't even allow for that. Boys are not supposed to cry, and boys are supposed to keep their emotions to themselves, and boys are not supposed to talk about nothing. You're not supposed to show any sign of weakness because that makes you less of a man. But masculinity and manliness is not about all of this toughness. Your ability to be honest with your emotions is also masculinity. And it's a funny way that we treat men in society, because when they are growing up, we want them to be tough. Don't cry and don't show emotions and stay tough, and you don't be crying like a girl. You don't be showing that you're hurt. But when they grow up and become your husband, you start saying, baby, open up to me. Tell me the truth. What's disturbing you? You can share. You're actually flipping the script. You're flipping the script because all of the training we've given them as our young children, we're now expecting something else from them. It's like asking water to come out from a rock. It's impossible. We need to get a balance and be able to let even male children understand that it's okay to cry. You're a human being. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to say that you feel hurt. It's okay to say that you feel abused. It's okay to say that you feel ashamed. It's okay. It's okay to air out your emotions, because we're teaching them not to be emotionally available. We're teaching them not to be open emotionally. We're teaching them to hide things, and then when they grow up, we say, "Open up." It's confusing. It's just mixed signals, and so we need to tidy that up. So apart from the shame and the victimization and the self-blame, where you're like, if this happened to me, then there must be something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just life happens. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you. You're like, there must be something that is wrong with me before it happened to me, and things like that, and you blame yourself and you become depressed and you don't trust people. It comes with a lot of issues. Sometimes it comes even with health issues. Your health is in danger and things like that. So it's a little complicated. But with all of these, we need to mount up the courage to start having open conversations so that we can move forward. We need to have open conversations so that we can move forward. We can talk about intimate things and we can share. And What is even more painful is that some families know that their male children have been sexually abused. They even know the abusers, because sometimes it comes from even family members, extended family, or even close family members, or family friends. And then they shut up the child and they close the story and they're like, forget about it. It has happened. Get over it. They do this to save their family face, because we don't want shame in our family and we don't want regret. And then the child grows up feeling that they don't have a right to fight for themselves. The child grows up feeling that they don't have a right to air out what they feel. And these are the kind of people that become extremely violent. When they want to say something, they want you to hear them, because all their life nobody has heard them. They feel they've not been heard. They've always been shut up and kept in the dark. Let's save our family. It becomes a family secret. It becomes a family secret that your precious child was sexually abused. You need to talk about it. You need to help them go through the trauma. You need to help them go through it, and you need to help them know that you stand by them and defend them. And you bring, even if you're not punishing the person, which I feel those sexual abusers need to be punished. Okay? And it's punishable by Cameroonian law. So I feel that you need to bring people to book, or if it's a thing that you want to address in the family, it should at least be addressed. And addressed in very harsh terms and in very strict terms, so that the child knows that you have their back. You don't just tell a child, get over it. And you tell a child, it's okay, it has passed, just let it go, because you want it to get out of your face as soon as possible, because you want it to become a family secret. There is no shame in opening up. There are all kinds of secrets in people's families. People have incestuous sex, which is sexual activity between family members and things like that. Sometimes it happens by mistake. Sometimes things happen. But because it happened in your family, don't necessarily mean it's the first time that it ever happened. I'm here to tell you deep, bitter truths, but it's the truth. Okay? So we need to own up to things and say, okay, this is what has happened. What do we do with it? Because when you leave things and you don't talk about them and you don't address them, it ends up boiling up and it spills over to different parts of a child's life. And you don't know why the child is always depressed. And you don't know why the child is so easily, he shuts down easily. You don't know why, because children go through stuff. You need to find out, especially children that go through same-sex male schools. Okay? Same-sex schools, whether it's girls' schools or boys' schools and everything, crazy stuff happen there. Okay? So you need to find out these things, and you talk to your children, and you allow them to be open to express themselves. And so now the question is, how do we fix it? If you've been sexually abused, if you want to prevent a child of yours or a relative or somebody from being sexually abused, especially a male child. I'm not talking about females today, I'm talking about males, because males are sexually abused. If you want to prevent this, how do you go about it? The first thing to do with somebody that has been sexually abused before, especially a male, is to create a safe environment where the person can talk about their hurts and talk about their feelings. And just by expressing themselves, it reduces the pain. It takes away the hurt. At least they know that somebody's listening, especially if it's a close family member or somebody that they value, and you're not judging them, but you're just listening to understand their plight. That's the first thing to do. Society needs to accommodate these kind of conversations. You cannot run from it, because it's going to spill over in other things, and you don't know why people are so angry. You don't know why people are just so resentful. It's the hurt they carry in them, and you just might not know what kind of hurt it is. It might be sexual abuse. Okay? So you need to create a safe environment for them to talk about it, because just talking about it releases them from the pain. The next thing to do is that you need to be very careful with people that try to isolate your children. You know, these kind of people that always invite your children to their homes, and they want to watch movies with them, and they want to care for them, and you should be careful with the power of people being nice. Let me tell you the trick that is in people being nice. Generally, when people are nice towards us or towards our children, we feel that they are just nice. And so we associate them with other nice things like good morals and core values and you feel that they have integrity and they have sexual chastity and they have all of these things, don't necessarily mean that they have all of those things. The fact that somebody can buy a gift for your child and treat your child nice don't necessarily mean that they are the full package when it comes to morality and having grounded core values, core moral values. Okay, they might be nice just because they want to lure your child. They might be nice because they want to seduce you and make you feel that the child is comfortable around you and make you feel like your child is safe. Every person that abuses a child sexually does it in a calculated way. That's why when it happens and they tell you that it's this person that has done this, you're like, what? You don't believe it because it's unbelievable. Because they came with this nice face and they bought gifts. So protect your children from people who are too nice, and especially people who try to isolate your children from you. They always want to be in secluded places with your child. Be very careful with that. The next thing you need to do to protect a child from sexual abuse is to talk to a child about sex. I'm not saying that you should talk to a child just exclusively and just tell them anything and anyhow, but you should talk to them. You should teach them their body parts. Okay, you should tell them, this is your breast, this is your penis, this is your that, this is your navel, this is your hands, this is your that, so that if something happens to them and you ask them, where did he touch you, you know that the child knows that this is the penis. It cannot get confused that this might be my eye. Okay, teach them these things so that they know exactly, they can describe exactly what happened and what did not happen and what happened, and you kind of like get a clear story, because sometimes things happen to children and they don't even know what happened. And then if the offender is there, they will shout at the child and say, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. You confuse a child, and children are innocent, they cannot defend themselves. That's why they become very violent when they have muscles and they have ability to defend themselves, because all of their lives they could not defend themselves. They feel like, if I become violent, if I become all of these violent person, then nobody can hurt me no more. But I mean, it's strange how grown men carry all of these childhood traumas and hurts even into their old age. They want to be heard, they want to be loved, they don't want to be judged. They want to have a safe environment and just know that people care and that they can talk about the things that they feel without being judged. That's why I'm here to open these conversations. That's why I'm here to let you know that boys, I read a research that was done in the United States. They say 1 out of every 6 male in the United States has been sexually abused in one way or another. I don't have statistics for my country, Cameroon, but I'm telling you the truth, these things happen and nobody wants to talk about it. But I'm here to talk about it because I want to open up conversations, not to annoy people, not to get people implicated or get people into trouble, but to open conversations that can heal people, conversations that can just heal up your broken life and mend up your dirty past and help you organize your life and become a better person for the future. Even if just one person can find hope through the videos that I do, especially this particular video on male sexual abuse, then I think that I've done my job. Because I'm not interested in just being in front of a camera. I'm interested in helping people and knowing that your life changed because you heard a word from my mouth. My name is Rafa Godlove. Thank you so much for having spent this time with me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.